And Regina's Road Warriors claim victory.
This is the CTV News.
Good evening and thanks for watching. A string of robberies at the Cooperator rink has caused officials to look more closely at the security around the dressing rooms. Morgan Reed has more.
Corey Hoskins and his teammates were only a few feet away from the door of their locked dressing room when they were robbed.
They probably got away with around $500 worth of cash, and the credit card that was racked up for a few $100s as well.
It happened at the Cooperator Center on Saturday morning, and then again the very next day.
Couldn't believe that it happened again, because when we had filed the report with Evraz the day before, they said that they were going to definitely take some extra precautions and maybe even go as far as putting a security guard to watch over our dressing rooms while we were out there.
Evraz Place has upped security since the weekend and replaced all the locks in the rinks. They're working with the victims to make things right.
We certainly feel as bad about it as they do and take the measures as quickly as we can to make sure that this instance doesn't leave a bad taste in their mouth about using the facility.
Evraz acknowledges the thefts are serious, but insists the incidents are isolated.
Well, in our entire property we have about 2 million people a year coming through about 1 million square feet of space. So, unfortunately there'll always be cases where that can happen. They've been very isolated, fortunately. This is really, I guess, in 14 to 15 months about the second one that we've had.
Other steps are being taken to ensure something like this doesn't happen again. Officials with Evraz Place say new high-tech security cameras will be installed by the end of the month, and a new card lock system is also on the way. Morgan Reed, CTV News, Regina.
FSIN Chief Guy Lonechild says he wants to use his case as an example of what not to do. Today he received the minimum punishment after pleading guilty to impaired driving. He says he hopes his experiences will educate others, especially First Nations youth. Mike Siona reports.
With a nervous smile, Guy Lonechild faced the music. 18 months ago, he was arrested for impaired driving. He pleaded guilty earlier this year and on Tuesday received the minimum sentence, $1,150 in fines and a 12-month driving prohibition.
I just want to move on with my life, and this was something that happened before I was chief. I acknowledge the consequences, and I just wish the very best for people who I think are suffering with addictions.
Inside the courtroom, it was revealed that Lonechild was driving with a suspended license when he was arrested, a detail not previously known.
Some traffic violations, so.
What was it, speeding?
I just can't recall.
Lonechild did offer the court an apology, saying he made a terrible mistake and never wants to do this again. He wanted to tell the public sorry and that drinking and driving is not right.
The most important thing for me is to acknowledge that alcohol isn't good for Guy Lonechild. It isn't good for many of our people. To find some strength and courage to make a decision not to pick up a bottle of beer.
Since the conviction, some have called for his resignation, but Lonechild continues to refute those calls, saying he plans to remain as chief. It's a hot-button issue, and one that at least one band councillor hopes will be put to bed soon.
Far too much energy and time spent on the Guy Lonechild issue. But I will say this, that there are far more important issues to deal with in our communities. Any leader will attest to that in Saskatchewan.
Cameron says he still has confidence in Chief Lonechild, but would not comment on his future. Lonechild has 1 month to pay his fines. He also has the option of entering the Ignition Interlock program with SGI to reduce his 12-month driving suspension to 3. Mike Siona, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A 4-year-old Saskatchewan boy has been horribly disfigured after being attacked by a sled dog in northern Saskatchewan. It happened on the Peter Ballantine Cree Nation near South End on Saturday. After the attack, the child was airlifted to Saskatoon, where he's undergoing skin grafts to his face. He has also reportedly lost an eye. The dog that attacked him was later run over by a motorist. The other sled dogs in the team were put down by the owner. Tenants marched on the legislature today demanding rent controls. They say they can't afford to pay the rent on what they're earning, but still the government isn't making any changes when it comes to rent control. Wayne Mantika reports.
We need rent control.
These tenants say rent is just too much.
When I first came to the city, I got a 2-bedroom apartment for around $800, and now my rent's over $1,000. So it's definitely gone up, and it hasn't stopped.
About 100 people demonstrated outside the legislative building today, demanding rent control. It was organized by social work students and a newly formed tenants group.
So I became very concerned and wanted to take some action to help out not just myself, but everyone else, right? Because we're better all together.
The demonstrators say rents have gone up 43% in Regina over the past 4 years. They feel government intervention is warranted.
Maybe the money that they were going to use for the dome could go towards building some homes. They had some extra money there.
Well, the personal stories that people are facing daily, choices they have to make, something has to be done.
The Saskatchewan government is opposed to rent control.
There's 2 issues that we should be dealing with. One of them is having a number of homes or the right number of units so that people have a place to go. And the other part of it is making sure there's money in the pocket so that they can have rent.
Tenants are becoming increasingly vocal as rents continue to rise. It's propelling the issue of rent control to the forefront of issues facing the legislature. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Programs across the province for at-risk youth are getting a big financial boost from the federal government. This morning, Public Safety Minister Vic Taves announced over $6.3 million for programs to keep kids away from a life of crime. The cash will be split between 10 programs, some getting nearly $1 million over the course of 3 years.
These are programs that will make a huge difference in the lives of many young people, as Chief Sheldon has just indicated. And it's very difficult to put a price on the value that it means to our society by keeping young people out of the criminal justice system and specifically prisons.